All right, so this is a third video for this worksheet. Okay, as I said before, this is a challenging one, but the comparative advantage or gains from trade is very important. Okay, in theory, or to help you better understand the economic way of thinking, or to help you better understand this globalization or anti-globalization. Okay. I think no matter which way you're looking at this, it's quite important. Okay. Now, you probably would say that I'm not really good at math. I hate numbers. So the two previous videos I check out, several times. I'm still a little confused. So that's why we offer the third way. Okay, this is built upon the PPF graph to show you gains from trade. Okay. Now, to draw the PPF, if you remember in chapter 2, we lead a lot of information, okay, a lot of combinations between the two goods. Okay, so in this case, if you can find here the vertical axis, let's do corns, okay, and the horizontal axis, that's going to be sweeteners, right? So we need multiple combinations between these two, right? But here we just want to simplify that. We could just look at the two corner solutions or two extreme situations, and then we're just going to connect these two corner points or corner solutions with a straight line. Or if you want to use the bowed out curve, that's fine too. Okay. Now let me show you how we're going to do that. Now, the first one, for England, we still need to remember that it has 60 units of labor, right? So the corner solution means we are going to find the maximum amount of corn England can produce, maximum amount. That means it will produce 0 sweeter, okay? So that's how we find this point on the vertical axis, okay? That's a maximum amount of corn. Now, let's go back to the question. England has 60 units of labor. If each and every unit of labor is devoted to the corn production, it should be able to produce 4 corns, right? 60 divided by 15. So it's going to be 4 corns here. I just arbitrarily pick one point here. That's 4 corns. Okay. Again, that's the maximum England can produce. Okay. So that should be the point on the England's PPF. All right. Production possibility frontier. Now, if England chooses to produce sweeteners, okay, every unit of labor, its labor is devoted to sweeter production, it will be able to produce 60 divided by 5. That gives us 12 sweeteners, okay? 12, as we already calculated here, 12 sweeteners. Now, let's put 12 here on the horizontal axis. 12 sweeteners, right? Okay. So, what are we going to do in between? As I said, you can use a bowed out curve, okay, or you can simply just use a straight line, okay? So that is England's PPF. Let's say PPF 1. 1 means pre-trade, okay, before trade. All right. And for Portugal, we can do the same thing. Okay, find these two corner solutions. Again, it has 60 units of labor, right? If every unit of labor is used to produce corn, it should be able to produce 3 corns, right? 60 divided by 20, 3 corns. If it spends all the labor to produce sweeter, it should be able to produce 2 sweeters, 60 divided by 30, okay? 2 sweeters, or 3 corns. So let's do 3 corns here, and 2 sweeters here. Again, collect it in with a straight line or a curve, okay, about a curve. So this is a PPF 1 for Portugal, right, before trade. All right, what happened after trade? again, we still focus on the extreme situation. And if you go back to table 3, we said England has a competitive advantage in sweater production. So it should produce more sweaters, right? Now, suppose England spend all its labor on sweater production. As we said, it can produce 12 sweaters, right? That's this corner solution. Now, when both countries are trading with each other, they would find that in England, with 12 sweaters, they can actually exchange 12 corms. Okay, again, come back here for the trading price. 1 sweater equals 1 corm, right? If all English people agree that they don't need sweaters at all, again, it's a hypothetical situation. Okay, they decide that the 1 corms, they can give up all the sweaters. Okay, they can actually get 12 corms. So let's see, suppose 12 corms will be here. That means here, if we collect these two, this would be England new ppf after trade. So all the points on this straight line or below should be able to achieved with trade. Okay, again, they could choose to consume 12 sweaters, 0 corms, or 12 corms, 0 sweaters. Okay, now you would find that this ppf is larger. It's lies above the original one. So here, the gap in between is the gains from trade. Okay, because these areas can be achieved with trade, but it cannot be achieved without trade. For example, let's do this point here, right? It is with the trade, they can consume that much, but they can't if they are separated from Portugal, right? Now, I want to say here, sometimes people won't call this PPF2 because this line, the green line, is not really the production possibility frontier. Sometimes people would say this is a consumption possibility frontier, okay? Because the 12 corms, England cannot produce that much. It gets 12 corms through the trade with Portugal, right? So we should say, rigorously, we should say that it's 12 corms available to English consumers. Okay, so sometimes people would call this CPF, just to let you know. Okay, all right, we can do the same thing for Portugal. Okay, and if you go back to table 3, you find that Portugal has the comparative advantage in corn production. Okay, so suppose it produces 3 corms, that's the maximum it can do, right? 3 corms. Now, here is the trick again. Okay, if you didn't get it when we talk about England, now this is a second chance. Okay, if Portugal already produced 3 corms, it brings the corms to the global market. They find that each corm can exchange 1 sweater, right? So the maximum amount of sweater it will be able to exchange is 3. Right? So here on the vertical axis, this point is achievable. Okay? So if we collected these 2 points, again, we produce a new PPF, okay? PPF2, or you could say the CPF. Okay? And as we said before, this gap, I'm not doing a pretty good job here. Yeah, this gap here, between the 2 ppf would be gains from trade. Okay, you can pick any combination between the corms and the sweater in this gap, and this would be achievable with trade. Okay, they can get that many corms and sweaters. Okay, but without trade, it cannot. It has to stay on this red ppf or below it. Okay, so here we use the graphical way to show you gains from trade. Okay, putting together, we believe that both countries will benefit from trade. Okay, but we would like to emphasize here the benefit from trade as a whole. Okay, the country as a whole. It doesn't mean that everybody in these two economies can benefit from trade. In other words, there's a distributional effect of global trade. So it can create some winners and losers. Somebody becomes better off and others could be worse off. Okay, but here we do not really get delve into that detail. Okay, we just stay country-wide or the country level. Okay, and say if we look at these countries, England as a whole, Portugal as a whole, then would they be able to benefit from trade? Okay, obviously the answer is positive. Okay. Now, this is probably a good moment for us to go back and think about this anti-globalization. Will the United States become better off if we have more economic independence? Okay? Like we're not gonna rely upon others. We're gonna bring all the manufacturers, factories back to the United States. It sounds pretty good, right? Like we can create more jobs here in the United States. But remember, nothing comes free. In chapter 1, we said that there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? When the manufacturers come back to the United States, they are gonna compete the resources with other industries like IT industries, finance industries, legal services. Okay, they compete with them not just about labor force, but also about land, about capital, about technology, all kinds of productive resources. Okay, so that will drive the United States away from our comparative advantage. Okay, we won't be able to focus as much on what we're really good at as we are supposed to. Okay? In other words, in the long term, these could really hold the United States back, could hurt the US economy in the long term. Okay? Here it's probably another moment we can talk about, something could be economically stupid but politically smart. Okay, so economically here, based upon the analysis of this chapter, we don't find it makes sense to go against global trade or free trade. But politically, because these, as we said, it's not just Donald Trump, but also Hillary Clinton, right? Both parties, both presidential candidates, strongly against free trade. This is because politically, this is a way they can get the votes. Okay, especially these blue-collar workers. They desperately want the government to, hold the manufacturer factories in the United States or even bring them back so that they will continue getting their jobs, right? And so as we said, to better understand, who gets hurt, who becomes better off because of the trade, you probably need to wait when you take EC 410, which is international economics, where we have a deeper discussion about the distributional effect of trade.